Back. Okay. What's the biggest difference to you being a front person in a bar versus being a front person at church? What's the biggest difference to you?
Performing.
Okay.
Because when you're a praise and worship leader, there's so many things that go into the actual leadership, from pumping and getting the congregation together, lift your hands and come on and let's do this. While when you're performing on the other side of that, depending on the venue you go to, you don't have to do that. Sometimes you could just flat out sing and just do your thing. If you're doing a jazz thing, the jazz thing doesn't really require crowd participation. It requires you to just sing, or if you are in some of those places, you don't necessarily have to get the crowd participation. It just kind of goes hand in hand with what you're doing. But in church, I feel like you have to do 10 times more because it literally shifts the atmosphere. Right. If your praise and worship is not good, I feel like it also will take away from what the preacher's getting ready to preach about. Because then he has to come behind you. Yeah. Because then it comes behind you. He or she comes behind you, and they have to pick up what you didn't leave on the table for them. Right. So I feel like for me, it's the performance that you have to kind of know who your crowd is. And that's something I also had to learn with. Like there was a growth opportunity on so many different sets because I take in what I did and didn't do in those performances, but definitely the performing aspect of it.
Do you take lessons and interchange the two? Like, I see this over here. I'm going to implement. I mean, whether it's a mindset or it could be anything. Like, because for me, church was really good training ground for me, right? Especially when you talk about things like being able to shift atmosphere, right? When you're performing in that venue outside of church, you can take that and use that. Church forces you at times to be able to
think quick on your feet.
Think on your feet. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And then
I've thought on my feet these last couple months real tough. I mean, gotta be quicker than that, girl. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Gotta stall.
Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know.
Look, we all need to pop us.
I'm really trying. I'm really trying because this can get bad.
Man, real quick. I'm gonna pop all of us pop me for all of us. Okay,
this could get bad really quick.
Man.
But no, and that's one of the things I actually do appreciate about growing up in church, because you just learn some stuff that you're not gonna learn in any school, any book. You just learn, like, even like going back to like thinking quick on your feet. You sit there and you be at choir rehearsal. Y'all run these songs. It's like, yo, this is gonna be this is gonna be what we do. Come Sunday morning, something in the atmosphere just shifts, and it's like, I know we went over this song, but it's this song that don't fit in this atmosphere. Same thing in the venue. It's like, we got this set list. There's gonna be the set list, but it's like the crowd is calling for something different. And most people, not everybody, but most people don't know how to think quick and adapt to what the crowd is, talking about.
I've had to switch up a set list because it didn't cater to the crowd.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're in your age groups matter as well.
Absolutely.
If you have an older age group of people, we'll talk, some South places. When you have an older age group of people, you can't sing the new age songs that's out right now because they don't understand it. Not only do they not understand it, they don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear pressure.
They do not want to hear that. They do not want to hear this. So it's kind of like I've had to think on my feet, like, okay, I got to take this song out, this song out, this song out. I got to replace it with this, and the third. Where are these lyrics at? Because we're not going to set ourselves up for failure though either. So I've had to, having to change and shift so quickly. I feel like that comes with confidence as well, because if you're not confident in what you're doing, it'll kind of just take away from everything. So I feel like even on both platforms, you still got to have some confidence.
Absolutely.
The same way I'm pumping and priming the church. I gotta pump and prime the R&B sides. Maybe not as much, depending on the venue type that you in. If I gotta get y'all out on the dance floor, and if y'all not moving, I gotta go out there and move. Maybe sometimes,
right?
But I feel like if any person goes to a place to hear live music, the worst thing you can do is not come and enjoy what you're hearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like the worst you can do is just sit and just look crazy. Go grab a drink or something.
Yeah, do something.
Go grab a drink or something. You came to have a good time. Like the person that I was texting you from the other place. That hard singing.
Yeah.
Every approach was like, my Jesus. But I think for me, the performing aspect of things is something that I had to get used to because I don't like cameras like that. So having to get used to being in front of a mic, being in front of a camera, growing up in church with a mic in your hand, but still not being able to, kind of convey that. I've had to grow over the last course of these I'll say maybe 5-6 years. Okay. I've grown in my artistry for sure.
That's what's up.